Well, good night. Good evening, everybody. This is Joanne Shear Parkin. I just want to make sure that the recording is going here. Let me check and see. Yes, we are. We're on. All right. So welcome to the Sunday night team training. My name is Joanne Shear Parkin. I'm a registered dietitian and nutritionist and Elite Pro 7 LifeVantage distributor. Just to tell you a little bit about my story before I get started. I joined the company and I joined LifeVantage in 2011. It was January 2011. So actually I'm going to be coming up on my 9th anniversary with LifeVantage. Wow, I can't believe it's been that long. It's been a great ride. It's been fun. But I was employed as the head dietitian at a cardiovascular hospital in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And cardiologist by the name of Dr. Mark Gordon stopped by my office one day and invited me to a LifeVantage presentation. And I attended that presentation, and the minute that I saw the scientific validation on our flagship product, Protandim Nerve 2, I was super excited because I knew that in terms of a dietary supplement, I knew that there was nothing out there that could do what Protandim Nerve 2 could do in terms of lowering oxidative stress. And so I was very passionate about the Mediterranean diet. I thought that was fabulous for lowering oxidative stress. At least that's what I learned. But I knew even the Mediterranean diet wasn't that potent and really couldn't achieve those results in 30 days. And so I felt that this would be like the perfect, absolutely perfect combination of little yellow pill, Protandim Nerve 2, and the Mediterranean diet to lower oxidative stress. So I really had no intentions of joining the business. I really was super busy. I had so much on my plate. So I just said, I said, no, I can't do this business. I'm too busy. And Dr. Gordon said, well, it's just this, this is how simple it is. You send out this ABC News report and you have people watch it. And if they like it, then you send them to your e-commerce website and they just order through your website and the company takes over, ships the product. And then you're kind of out of the loop. And that's all you need to do. Don't have to inventory product or deliver product. And I'm like, wow, I think maybe I could do that. And besides, I knew once I had seen that science on Protandim Nerve 2, I knew I would not be able to zip my lip. I knew I'd be out there blabbing anyway. And I thought I might as well sign up as a distributor, right? And so that's how I got started. And, within 2 years, I had replaced my salary at my hospital job, and I was able to retire early, which was fantastic. And now living the dream, and retired. Well, I guess this is retirement, everybody, LifeVantage. This is retirement. Retirement to me is when you have control of your time and enough money to enjoy it in retirement. And so that's what I think of retirement, and I'm living the dream in retirement. So that's what I've been doing since end of 2012. So tonight I'm going to talk to you about how you can present and become a presenter like a pro. And I just want to tell you a little bit about my journey in being able to be, as far as public speaking or presenting. I can tell you back in my early years as a young adult, as a young professional, I was shy and quiet and deadly fearful of presenting. I'm like this gentleman in this slide. This was me. I would literally freeze up in front of an audience. I'll never forget the first time I had to do a live TV interview. I literally think I had a panic attack because I couldn't even hardly talk. And so this is where I started. So how was I able to overcome my fears? Well, because literally my job as being a dietitian, it was required of my job. I had to get up and give presentations, and it really forced me to get up in front of the room and start presenting. And it's interesting because they say that public speaking is the #1 fear, like people fear public speaking or more than they fear death. I don't know if those statistics are true or not, but it is a fear that a lot of people have, and I can relate. I have that fear. Now honestly, to be honest, I enjoy presenting. I feel like when I get in front of the room and I see people out there, I almost feel like I kind of come alive when I get up there and I start presenting. But that's not where I started. So if some of you out there are fearful of getting up and presenting, just know that it is something, it is a fear that you can overcome. So for you new distributors out there, especially, I know that I hear this all the time. You know, people come and hear me present. And, you know, of course, you know, I have the science nailed. I've been in the business 9 years. And they go, oh, I really, you know, I think the product's amazing. You know, man, I sure could use a little extra income, but boy, I could never do what you do. I know they're talking about, you know, like getting up and presenting. Well, you know, I assure them that this is something they will grow into, that that is not important, that is not something they need to do when they join the business. Because this is on the job training. Think about when you started your job, when you started a new job. You know, your boss isn't expecting you to be proficient the first day you walk on the job, right? So this is my advice for you new distributors out there, or maybe you're even contemplating LifeVantage and joining LifeVantage. Just remember, you in the beginning, you don't need to be doing any of the presentations. In fact, we don't advise that. But one thing I do recommend is that you attend as many presentations and Zoom opportunity webinars as you can. Because as you hear the information over and over and over again, in fact, I read a statistic one time that said that adult learners need to hear the information 7 times before it really sticks. So if you're like the typical adult learner, you're going to need to hear it again and again and again. And there's a message in there too for when you are presenting this opportunity to people as well. And people have, you know, new people have told me I got a lot more out of the presentation when I went and saw it the second time. So trying to get people back again and again to the presentations is also important. So what you want to do is then attend these presentations and take notes. So I'll tell you how I got started. Now we didn't have, when Sioux Falls, when it was just me and Dr. Mark Gordon, we didn't have, and our upline was in Arizona, and Carrie Dickey out in California, and Ray Williams and Carrie Williams in Arizona. So we didn't have our upline in our same community that could do presentations for us. And, you know, we didn't have Zoom webinars now, like we did, you know, we didn't have those back then. So what we did was Dr. Gordon and I kind of teamed up when we started giving presentations, and Dr. Gordon, because he took off, you know, and he was giving group presentations. We're doing mostly bigger meetings and group meetings, right? So what I would do is that I would send people that ABC News report. I'd ask them if they liked what they saw, what they liked about what they saw. Could they see taking this product, or were they thinking of people that they would like to share it with? And if they said they'd like to share it with somebody, I would say, great, we're having a meeting on Sunday night, and come hear a great, medical doctor present. And so I would bring people to the presentation. And that's what I did in the beginning, was I just would get people to come to the presentations. And so finally it got to the point where I felt like I needed to do my own home meeting. Well, we did not have, like I said, the upline was out of state. So I knew if it was going to be, it was up to me. So I did my own home first presentation. It wasn't until April. So I joined in January. I didn't give my first home presentation until April. So what I did is I got Carrie Dickey's CD. Yes, that was the days of the CDs. And I listened to her presentation on the CD over and over again. And I wrote down word for word what she said. When she would come to Sioux Falls, and she and Marie Williams, Carrie Williams, and they were coming and helping us grow our business there, I would go to every presentation and I would write down, take copious notes. And so what I did, my first home meeting, I got up, I played the ABC primetime, and then I had my notes and I read my notes and read my script. And that's what I did for my first home meeting. And you know what I did? I enrolled a lot of people doing that. You see, so you don't have to be polished. In fact, probably being a little, I would say imperfect is even better, because people will think, oh man, maybe I could do that. Look at her, she's reading her notes. Maybe I could do this. But the most important thing if you're a new distributor, you're just getting started, is, of course, is to rely on your upline, number one, to do the presentations. Whether that might be in a group, whether that it might be a Zoom webinar, or whether it might be a one-on-one. You're basically just going to connect your new person, your new prospect, to your upline. The one thing, though, that you can do early on is practice telling your story, because your story is the most important marketing tool that you have. It can be a product story, and it can be a business story. I have both. Depending on the person that I'm talking to, I may tell them about my product story, or I might tell them about my husband's product story. But if it's somebody that's me, you know, somebody in retirement looking for secondary income, then I'll tell them my business story. And so you want to get really good at telling your story, you know, why you joined LifeVantage, you know, what has the product and the business done for you? Why are you excited about your future? And this is, again, the most important tool you have. Practice telling your story, get it down to a minute, at the most 2 minutes. Now, again, rely on the tools that we have. We have so many fabulous tools. You know, in 2011, we had the ABC Primetime Investigative Report. That was it. So you want to find out from your upline, you know, what is the best video, what's the best tools to use to kind of the hook to get that prospect's attention. And then once you get that prospect's attention, then you want to connect them to the upline, right? For the validation. That might be a 3-way call. You might invite to a home meeting, or maybe a Zoom webinar. So get in front of the room as fast as you can. Why? Because the person at the front of the room is the person who's making the most money. Probably, not always, but you want to get in front of the room. That's a scary thought, right? But it's going to be a journey. It's going to be a process. You're going to grow into this. It's not going to be something you're going to do day one. Or maybe I would think by the time you're a Pro 3, you're going to be wanting to, and that is really a place of personal growth for you to get up in front of the room. So let's say it's a home meeting, and this is how you can kind of ease into it and start small by taking one component of the presentation. For example, you could get up and tell your story, introduce the speaker first, right? And then tell your story. And then maybe present on one component of the presentation. Maybe it might be the company story, or maybe, like I said, on one of the products. I just got to give you a little example of how powerful this can be. I gave a home meeting in this was probably last spring, and we had a home meeting here in my home in Arizona, and I had a new distributor get up and present. Yes, and she was pretty new, but I asked her to tell her story and to present on one of the products. And she was so game. She was fantastic. She says, I'm scared, but I'll do it anyway. And so she did. She got up, Anne-Marie got up, she told her story, and she had her notes, and she read from her notes. And then she also presented on one of the products. And then at the end of the presentation, when I was talking to some prospects, a couple that I had invited to the meeting, I was talking to them and talking about, you know, their decision making and what they would want to do. They went home and they enrolled on a gold pack. They didn't enroll exactly on the meeting. They went home and enrolled on Go Back. And they said what moved them to action was Anne-Marie's story. Okay, it was her story, not my great presentation skills, right? Not all the great science on the products, which they enjoyed that too. But it was her story, because she told it with such passion and just such credibility that they were just like, wow, they wanted to start, you know, getting the products. They wanted to start sharing with others. Like I said, refer to your notes and practice, practice, practice. Now, for every presentation, home meetings, definitely we will do this. You know, when you're doing a one-on-one presentation, you're going to kind of tailor the presentation to the person. Now, you can really do that when you're one-on-one with people. So you may not cover all 6 of these, but you know, you're going to try to, you know, just be sensitive to that person in front of you. But these are the 6 components of a presentation. And if you kind of think about it, the next time that you are listening to a presentation, go to a home meeting, see if you can identify all 6. And first is your story, which I told when I started. You talk about the company and the company story. Then the trends, we talk about nutrigenomics, right? The trends in nutrigenomics and the anti-aging, how much nutrigenomics is going to be like a $600 billion industry. Then the products, we talk about the compensation plan, timing, and probably most important at the end, it's call to action. You don't want to forget the call to action. These, so at the end, you're going to say, all right, get back to the person who invited you. And they're going to ask you these 3 questions. So be prepared. Are you looking for better health? Could you see yourself taking these products? And which ones of the products are you most interested in trying? Secondly, were you Rolodexing and making a list of names of people you want to share this with? So if you have that list of names, that's what I did. So let's take a look at the spreadsheet with all the different pack options, enrollment pack options, and let's talk about which one of those might be best for you. And lastly, maybe you need more information. You have a lot of questions, and that's great. We want you to do your due diligence, and we want you to get your questions answered. The do's and don'ts of presenting. You want to make sure that you, especially in a home meeting or if it's a hotel meeting, you want to make sure that people hold their questions until the end of the presentation. You want to speak slowly, repeat key points. Talk about we are activating, not supplementing. Talk about we are modifying genes. We're turning off the bad genes. We're turning on good genes. That's what Nutrigenomics does for you. Synergy. Emphasize the synergy of our products. So you want maybe to kind of repeat that as much as you can. And of course, stay compliant. We don't want to oversell and give people the impression, especially that this is going to treat and cure and mitigate all these diseases that they have. We talk by staying compliant. You can talk about a lot. I mean, you don't need to really even get into those weeds. In fact, that's violated company policies. But what you can say is just like what I was saying. We turn off bad genes, turn on good genes. We help you to lower oxidative stress, 40% in 30 days. That's huge. Our products help to activate anti-aging pathways. We help you slow down aging. Okay, so we have tons of evidence of how our products work. And so people can draw their own conclusions if they have arthritis, and they can think, oh gosh, this turns off the bad genes that promote inflammation. Oh, maybe that would be a good thing for me. One thing I think as far as don'ts is to make sure that you don't go beyond an hour. And I'm trying to keep my presentations to 45 minutes in a home meeting presentation. If it's on a Zoom webinar, I try to even get it less, 30 minutes. Because I think on a Zoom webinar, it's even harder to hold a person's attention because the average attention span of an adult learner is 20 minutes. Yep, 20 minutes. So see, okay, look at that. I'm already into this 20 minutes. So guess what? Maybe I've already lost some of you out there. And I just want to talk about Zoom webinars because now in this day and age with all the technology, you can do the presentations, with a Zoom webinar. We didn't have this technology when I started. And so look at it's so fantastic. I can tell you, I'm technology challenged, I should say. I taught myself how to use Zoom. Really, I did. I just got in there. I watched the video training webinars on their platform. I got in there and I practiced. And I'll tell you, the first few times I was on Zoom, I was bad. But like anything, I just got better and better as I started conducting more and more Zoom webinars. And this is a great platform because you can use the Zoom for training, third-party validation, and where you can schedule your upline to come on Zoom and do some validating for you. And of course, for presentations, it's fabulous. All right, that is on presenting. I think we had some people join, so I'm going to just make sure everybody's muted here. Before I go on to the next, I'm going to end with this for the next 5 to 10 minutes. Because the big buzzword, right, is NAD, our newest product. And I'm sure all of you have been on NAD and have had experience with it. It's just been fantastic for me and my husband in terms of some health benefits. I'm hoping Jim is going to hop on and share his story. And you have to understand again that we are activating anti-aging pathways. So I start out in the beginning of my presentations I start out by saying that, you know, you're going to learn about how we are going to be activating anti-aging pathways, and this is totally different than supplementing. I do both. I tell people I do both. I supplement with vitamin D, with magnesium. I supplement with fish oils, but then I also activate 3 anti-aging pathways with our synergizer products. And so I also read a statistic lately that said that there's 20 different anti-aging pathways in the human body, 20. And we know about 3 of them. Most people probably don't even know about 1 of them, correct? So I was looking at some research on PubMed, and when I went to PubMed, I looked, and the first year that we had a research study on NRF2 was 1995. This is new science, people. This is new. This is really, in the whole world of science, you'll know that what we're into, we are really at the forefront. We are pioneers in nutrigenomics with our nutrigenomic products. So NRF2 it was just in 1995. And I looked, so that was the first year that they published studies. Guess what we have on NRF2 now? How many studies? It's 13,000 plus, right? I looked at sirtuins, and the research on sirtuins in 1995 is when I found the first research study on sirtuins. So that was also 1995. This is new research. And then looked at, there's about 8,000 to 9,000 studies on sirtuins. We have a little bit more research probably on NRF2. It's NAD and sirtuins is just maybe lagging a little bit behind where we are with NRF2, but it will quickly catch up, because I've been reading a lot of research studies on NAD and sirtuins. So I'm trying to really beef up my knowledge about it. But I think this is the main thing for all of you to understand, at least just for you to be able to communicate a little bit with people. Is this just this? And if you go to your website or you go to the LifeVantage homepage, go look at the product literature on NAD Synergizer. The product literature by LifeVantage is excellent. Pretty much everything you need to know about NAD Synergizer is in that literature. And this is the main thing, is that you need to know, is that scientists for years have been conducting studies with caloric restriction, pretty severe caloric restriction. And of course, they've been conducting these studies in mice. And they found that with caloric restriction, that the mice lived longer, both male and female mice. And they took it one step further, and they found out that the reason why they lived longer was because caloric restriction activated these powerful anti-aging genes called sirtuins. And there's 7 of them, and I call them the Magnificent 7. And these 7 all have different biological functions in your body. And it's amazing when you read about the benefits of those sirtuins. And so what our company has done is formulated NAD plus cuprous niacin, a form of niacin, combined with wasabi extract, olive leaf extract, and theacrine. So you get the synergy there as well. And found that in just 24 hours, 2 capsules of NAD Synergizer will increase sirtuins by 100%, even better than caloric restriction. Now, the competition, we don't have much competition out there, as you can see. And that is the main concept with NAD Synergizer. And you look at the benefits of NAD Synergizer, the benefits are derived primarily from those potent and powerful anti-aging genes, those sirtuin synergizers. So you see what we're doing again with NAD Synergizer? We are activating a set of genes again, like we do with NRF2, like we do with NRF1. And I was just looking at this study, and I just had to kind of put this in there, share this with you. And it was a review article from 2016. And I love the title. It takes 2 to tango, right? You need NAD for sirtuins to really work. It's they call NAD a coenzyme. That's the technical term for it, but it really it just says it so well. It takes two to tango. Now, and this research article kind of reemphasizes the fact that NAD is essential for sirtuin activity. NAD declines with aging. NAD really is also essential for life and cellular metabolism. It's such an important molecule. It's a molecule in your cells. And also sirtuins decline with aging. So you get the idea here. When we talk about NRF2, what do we talk about? Production of antioxidant enzymes decreases with aging. NRF1, our mitochondria, we start losing our mitochondria as we age. We know that all of that leads to many health problems. And now we have the NAD sirtuin pathway. We know that that declines with age as well. So you get the concept here that we are activating these pathways, getting our cells back to where they were and functioning like when we were younger, right? So I just feel so blessed that I know this information. You know, I'm 70 years old and I feel as great and as healthy and as energetic as I did in my 40s and 50s, or maybe my 30s even. But I feel great. So we know now that sirtuins, these are the powerhouse that extend lifespan. We know that activating NRF2, protanum nerve 2, we have research showing that that extends lifespan by, what do we say, an average of 7%? How about adding in sirtuins? You get the idea here, what we're doing? We are building, it's like building blocks. And it's actually more than building blocks. It's synergy of the three. So I'm going to end with this, because people might say, well, you know, which one is most important? I only want to take one. So if they only want to take one, I show them this slide. And this is kind of a complicated slide. But what it does is it shows the synergy and how these three products are better together. And if you look here, I'm going to mute the lines again. Hold on, everybody. Let me do that real quick for this last slide. So if you look at this slide, and let's start over on the left-hand side here. And let's just show you, I'll give you an example with protanum NRF2. So if you take protanum NRF2 alone, it activates this gene called NQO1. It's a powerful detoxification gene, by the way. You get 40% bump up in that gene. And this one here, you get 51% increase of heme oxygenase 1. That is an anti-inflammatory gene. But look what happens when you take the trisynergizers together. You add the NRF1 and the NAD2 to the NAD to the NRF2. So taking the trisynergizers, look at this anti-inflammatory gene, 848%. It goes off the chart. I don't think they even can have enough room on this page for this increase. If you look, and if you go over here to NAD, this is on the right. This is something else. If you go read about this NAMPT gene, wow, I've been reading about it. So alone, the NAD synergizer activates just this one gene by 12%. Same thing here with this other gene, NMNAT1 by 12%. But look what happens when you add the NRF1 and NRF2 to NAD. Do you get the idea that what we are offering people is we are offering them solutions that get down to the level of their genes? They turn off the bad genes and turn on these very good cellular protective genes, and that help us with what? Protecting our cells from free radical damage, helping us with protecting us from inflammation, helping our cells detox, helping our energy levels. So all of them are working together, and they're better together. So with that, I think I have think I have run out of time here. So I think what I'm going to do is sign off and say good night and thank all of you for hopping on and joining tonight. And I hope that my little tips on how to present like a pro will help all of you to feel more comfortable, right, with getting out there and getting in front of the room and becoming a professional presenter, because the person at the front of the room is the one making the money, right? Okay, so thank you everybody for joining me tonight, and have a very blessed week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.